Welcome to Writer's Digest Presents. Hosted by the editors of Writer's Digest, this monthly podcast features conversations with writing and publishing experts whose insights will help ignite your creative vision, hone your skills, build your platform, and get your work out into the world. Hello, and welcome to a special episode of Writer's Digest Presents. I'm Editor-in-Chief Amy Jones, alongside Managing Editor Moriah Richard and Talcott-Notch Literary Agent Amy Collins. In 2025, WD is hosting our first overseas writing retreats. In actually just a couple of days from when we record this, I'll be heading to Italy for our first one. And then in September, Moriah and Amy will be heading to England. Hey, Moriah. Hey, Amy. Are you two excited to head overseas?
Absolutely.
Cannot wait.
Yeah, it should be a great time. I'm so jealous that I don't also get to go on this one. I had such a fun time putting the itinerary together, and I think you're going to have a fantastic time. But before we get to that, Moriah, could you share some of the basics about the when, the where, and the setup for this retreat?
Absolutely. So the trip is going to be broken up into two parts. First, the tour, and then the retreat. So the tour is going to start in London on September 12th through September 20th, and then we'll spend 3 full days there before heading to Bath for another day of sightseeing. Then it'll be time for the retreat part, where we'll spend 2 full days writing at a country manor house.
Oh gosh, I cannot wait. I thank you guys so much. I have to tell you, the itinerary that you shared with me already, the parts of London we're going to get to see, going the Jane, how carefully we're going to be there actually during the 250th anniversary of the Jane Austen house. We're going to get to do all that. Tell us more about the details. I know that I've got some things that I'm planning to do, but what's the actual day-to-day plan?
All right, so we did try for a variety of literary interests because there are just so many great writers from London, from England, and you can see. I mean, you could spend a year seeing everything. So we tried to break it down by groups. Sort of little areas, pockets of London, so you aren't spending a ton of time in a bus or in the tube. You can get to your location and see several things in that area. So we'll start day one. You're just going to arrive in London, get settled at the Hotel RAU, Plaza London, Victoria. I saw one of those hotels. It seems beautiful. And you'll meet everyone in the group and then have a team dinner in the hotel, which is another great plus of this retreat. All of your breakfasts and dinners are included in the tour package. So day 2 is the first full day of all of the sightseeing. You'll start off at the British Library, which I don't know if either of you have been there before, but it is one of my favorite places in the world. Mm-hmm. It is huge. And it's not like, one of your libraries here in, I don't know, like my library in my town in Ohio. It's got a whole museum type section of it where they have original manuscripts and writing desks and artwork. And it's fantastic. Beautiful. And then since you'll be in Bloomsbury, Fitzrovia area, you'll take part in the Blue Circle walking tour. They're professional guides who focus just on the literary part of these big blue plaques that they have put on homes of important people who have lived in London. There's a whole section of them, of writers in Bloomsbury and Fitzrovia. I did I made a little tour like that for myself when I was over there. I went to where Virginia Woolf lived, which happened to be the same square where Ian McEwan had lived at the time. And I felt a little bit like a stalker. But it was a beautiful little neighborhood. Little park benches, which are great for sitting and listening to the birds or watching people go by. So you will have lunch on your own that day, and then again dinner at the hotel with the whole group of
And
people.
not just with the group. Amy, I don't know if you know this, but because I worked this out, but several editors at very large publishing houses in London have agreed to meet us for some of our meals. And that the first night it's just us, but the second night we've got an editor joining us, perhaps two, that they're with a top five house, and they're going to sit at dinner with us. They're going to answer any questions you have. We're just network, pick their brain, and we're going to use that time, yes, to enjoy each other's company, but also to get some questions answered about the publishing industry.
Hmm, that's going to be a lot of fun.
It will. I
Yeah.
picked very fun people. There
Amy, I
may be
think
a
you only know
cocktail or
fun
two.
people. Now I'm even more jealous. Yeah, that sounds fantastic. Um, on day 3, you'll go to a different neighborhood and visit the Sherlock Holmes Museum on Baker Street, which I have not been to, but I thought it looked fascinating. Even if you don't read a lot of Sherlock Holmes, even if you know that's not really your interest area, they have artifacts from that time period. So if you're writing a historical novel, you
Hmm.
can see what things of that time looked like, the gaslights, and you know, sort of experience that time period, which I think is really fun for research if you're working on a historical novel. And then you'll head over to Regent's Park for a tour around the park, and then some solo time where you can sort of go off on your own and do some writing. And I think we tried to work some of that into each day where the days are not jam packed with activities, because this is also a writing retreat.
Hmm.
And we wanted you to have time to sit down and collect your thoughts, make notes about whatever project you are working on, or be inspired by the sights around you. That's what I really like about these trips.
Well, and I don't know if you've sat in Regent Park, but it is such a beautiful place to sit and write, and the uh, it's weird for such a large city, but the birds and it's just such a beautiful place. But if for some reason, if the weather's not absolutely perfect, it's surrounded by all these charming places. You could go in, grab a cuppa or a pint, and just write and just kind of soak it all in. It's the perfect neighborhood for kind of an on your own, pull it together writing moment.
Yeah, I love that. That's fantastic. This is a day where you will have lunch on your own, but then no trip to London is complete. No literary trip to London is complete without heading to Globe Theatre, Shakespeare's Globe Theatre, which you'll be seeing a play. Dinner is part of the experience. Not sure what play will be on at that time of the year. I'm not sure if they've announced it yet, but it sounds so much fun.
They're all
Well,
wonderful. Everything there.
and I come from a little bit of a theater background,
Hmm.
and as a writer, like I always love hearing plays read aloud, but of course also seeing them performed because I think like it truly is a master class in dialogue.
Hmm.
So, you know, even nonfiction writers, poetry writers incorporate dialogue in their storytelling.
Hmm.
So I think it's going to be both just like a really wonderful, relaxing, fun time, but also like a little bit of a learning experience for all of us.
Absolutely. And Shakespeare is everywhere. It's included in everything. So day 4, the fourth day of the trip, is the last full day in London,
And
and you will
truthfully,
head
the one
to
I'm the most excited about. I
yeah.
I gotta say.
Yeah, it looks kind of spectacular. You start off at Westminster Abbey, which of course has Poets Corner, where poets are buried, which seems a little, I don't know. I like seeing that sort of thing where to have a place honor their writers like that
Mm-hmm.
is pretty special. And it's a beautiful building. And then you'll go to my favorite place in London, which is Trafalgar Square, where you will visit the National Gallery and the National Portrait Gallery. Um, I don't know, have either of you read Connie Willis? She does time travel books.
Oh, yes.
Her
Yes,
name is
the
familiar.
Doomsday book.
Yes,
Oh, I
yes,
loved that.
yes. And there was a two-part World War II time travel book, and there are some really incredible scenes that take place in Trafalgar Square, and so I always
Hmm.
picture that in my mind when I think about this. But that aside, the National Gallery is full of incredible paintings that will spark your imagination. Even right from the moment you walk in, there's a huge tile mosaic on the floor, and you do not try to take pictures of it because you will get a talking to.
Ah,
Um, but the muses are writers. So one of them is Virginia Woolf, and so it's a nice little place to start your literary experience as you go through the National Gallery
well, and
and the
when we do
National
lunch
Portrait.
on our own on this last full day in London, the executive director or the publisher of Watkins Press, which is a very prestigious British publisher. Even though it
Mhm.
says lunch on your own, you guys are all invited to join us. She and I are having lunch together right there in that neighborhood. And whoever wants to join us is welcome to. She's a dear old friend, and I see her whenever I'm in London. And she also publishes sci-fi, horror, mystery, new age, memoir. Watkins is a fantastic British publisher, and I'd love for you guys to meet her. So again, I'm taking her to lunch. You guys are all welcome to join us if you'd like to. That will be that day in that neighborhood.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you for arranging all of those meet and greets.
Yeah.
It's such a
Well,
nice surprise. The last part of this day will be heading to Cecil Court, which is also known as Booksellers Alley, if I'm not mistaken. Just two full rows of all kinds of bookstores. Shop to your heart's content. Looks charming. I think I didn't realize it was so close to Trafalgar Square the last time I was there, and I'm kicking myself for missing it.
we'll
On
take
day
pictures.
5, oh,
I'll, I'll
thank
Yeah.
I'll
you.
take pictures and I'll post from Facebook, and it'll be, "Hey Amy, ha ha
Look at all these books you can't buy. That's great. So on the 5th day, you will hop on the fancy tour bus and head to the countryside towards Bath. But before you get to Bath, you'll stop in Charlton, which I don't know if that's how that's pronounced, but you will visit the Jane Austen House and Museum and the Charlton House, where you will have a lovely picnic lunch in a garden, and there will be a guided tour
Hmm.
of the library there. The Our tour company recommended this. They said it's worth the stop, so that should be lovely. And then you'll head on to Bath, where you'll check into the Country Manor House, where you'll be spending the rest of the trip. It's called the Balebrook House.
Oh, I looked it up online. It looks so gorgeous.
It does.
Oh,
The tour company they went there and they said there are tons of places, nooks and crannies, and little rooms where you can kind of go off and write either on your own or with a small group. So I think it sounds perfect for your purposes of the writing retreat part of things.
and it's walking distance from the circus. I mean, where you can there's tons of places to sit outside if you want.
Um, so on day 6 and 7, those will be your writing retreat days. On day 6, there'll be I mean, as Amy mentioned, this is the 250th anniversary of Jane Austen's birth. So there'll be another tour of the Jane Austen Center in Bath, but the rest of the time will be your writing time on day 6 and 7. And even really, if you want, on the morning of day 8, which is free time, you could go to Bath on your own, experience, wandering around, seeing what it's like, or you can stay at the manor house and do more writing time. Amy and Mariah, maybe before we talk about the final day and departing, you can tell us a little bit about how you view the writing time for the attendees and the participants, and what you might do for them during that time.
Yeah, I'll start us off. What I love about this kind of unstructured writing time is if you are somebody who really thrives on like holding up somewhere, being completely alone, quiet, just sitting down and really like banging something out, you're of course more than welcome to do that. Um, I will be around. I welcome anyone to come and sit with me. We can chat. I'm more than happy to look over people's first pages and give some editorial feedback, discuss your story a little bit, or we can do small groups where I can lead us in writing sprints, which is how with my ADHD, like that's really how I do the best work. We're very flexible depending on what your writing style is, what you want to get out of the group or the solo time. We're going to be really flexible and allow people to work however they work best.
Oh, I'm going to take advantage of that. Some people, like for me, I like being I enjoy body doubling, where in a small
Mm-hmm.
group where I'm writing, but because I'm with other people, I actually stay focused and I don't grab my phone and start
Mm-hmm.
scrolling Facebook. That's really helpful to
Yep.
me.
Mm-hmm.
But during these same few days, while Mariah is doing all that wonderful stuff, I'm also going to be making myself completely available to people who want to run their pages by me and talk about market viability
Mm-hmm.
or comparable titles or like the first few pages. Where do their first few pages fit into what the current marketplace and reader what they're expecting today? My job, well, not so much as editorial. I mean, well, she's got that covered, but I pay close attention to what readers are asking for today and what makes them the most attractive to agents and editors. And I would love to sit down with you guys anytime, whether we're in London or in Bath, and help you make your projects as market friendly and as appealing as possible. And I will be there to share with you what's going on in the business side of things. And so
Mm-hmm.
that it's not just this beautiful prose, but it's beautiful prose that has a real shot. That's kind of why Mariah and I were paired up. It's a nice partnership, and I'm so looking forward to it.
And for anyone sitting out there thinking, oh, that sounds really great, but I'm not really ready, my project's not ready for me to be thinking about that or to be talking to an agent about that. From my experience, it's never too early. You want to be able to visualize who your reader is, what they're looking for from your story. That can really help inform your drafting process or your editing process, wherever you are in your writing journey with this project. Or if you're starting a new project and you're venturing out and really gathering info about what that's going to look like as you dive in. I think that having both of us there to ask questions and to get some feedback and insight from is going to be really, really beneficial for everyone.
Yeah, yeah. I love when people, right at the beginning, one of my clients or an author I know saying, listen, I'm thinking of alternating chapters. It's going to be third person close, and then every other chapter will be first person. And I mean, I love digging into, for instance, the fact that 2 or 3 years ago, crossover with genre was absolutely not a good
Mm-hmm.
idea. And now to be able to help people to sit with them for a few days and say, okay, what you've got here looks like a real crossover novel, and that's very marketable now, and this is why. I don't usually get the time to sit with authors for long periods of time and really help them that intensely. So that's pretty excited about this. And
Mm-hmm.
it's going to be a small group. I mean, there's 15 to
Mm-hmm.
20 of us. It's not like there's going to be 70 people. It's just going to be a
Right.
small group. You're going to get to meet my editor friends. You're going to get to pick Mariah's brain and do writing sprints. Should be so cool.
Yeah, I love that. This is what I'm excited about for the trip that I'm getting ready to go on. There are writers of all levels, all genres,
Hmm.
and I think we were pretty intentional about designing these trips to accommodate that. Recognizing where people are in their writing journeys and making it work for all of them. I know I've got some people on my trip who they have they have published before, and they're looking to try something new, or they've finished up a first career and are now have time to spend on their writing, and then other people who are just getting started. So I think being able to have both of you and being able to accommodate all of those people and the different genres is going to be fantastic. You're going
Amy,
to have
may I
such a
ask you a
great
question?
time. Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of accommodating, I am old. I am an old woman. And this itinerary at times is making me a little nervous. If I'm just curious, these activities that you've booked, these are voluntary. If someone takes a look at a walking tour and says, I'm
Hmm.
not up for that today, or
Hmm.
I'm too jet lagged, or if you're like me, old, um, these are opportunities, correct? We're not, I mean, there's
Yes.
no, because I have to tell you guys, some of these I'm going to have to sit out because I can't walk 2 miles, 3 miles. That's just me.
Yep. And we recognize that. We will not force anyone to do anything.
Hmm.
That is one of my least favorite things to do. So if you want to skip out on part of the day and, spend it closer to the hotel, relaxing, or going to a cafe near to the hotel and sitting and writing, you are absolutely welcome to do that. We will make that happen.
So you don't need to be a published writer. You don't even have to have your manuscript mostly done.
No,
You
not
just
even
need to
close.
want the space and
Hmm.
truthfully to make new friends, community of other authors.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think having the dedicated time to spend on a project that even if you're just tooling around with an idea, having dedicated time, I think is so important. I know it's where I've kind of fallen short on all of my previous travels. I have these grand ideas, like I'm going to come back home and use my inspire what I've been inspired by and write for weeks, and then I get back to my work and my regular life, going to the grocery, and it never happens. So I love having that time, that intentional time to sit down and write while you're there.
Hmm.
I think
If somebody wants to bring a friend with them who's not a writer, if yeah, I don't have any friends, but let's say I did. Let's say I had a friend or two, and somebody's like, "Oh, I've always wanted to go to London." That's right, cool, right? I mean, they don't have to be
oh yeah,
writers. You're welcome to bring a spouse or a friend or a child or
absolutely. Yeah, if you
great.
want to bring, yeah, bring a friend, bring your spouse or a partner. I mean, you're going to be traveling around London, so and seeing beautiful things, whether or not you are there for the writing part of it or not,
Hmm.
and then getting to hang out at a country manor house sounds pretty relaxing to me. So take some time for yourself. Yep. So on the last day, at the country manor house, you'll have the morning to yourself for heading to Bath, or riding on your own, and then you'll head back to London in the fancy bus and have dinner, the last group dinner, back at the same hotel you were at before. So there's no new hotel to figure out. You'll just check back in at that hotel for a night, and then on the next morning you'll head to the airport or continue your travels on your own. I know there's a couple of us on the Italy trip who have extended our stay and are going to do a little more sightseeing on our own before heading back to where from whence we came. Um, all right, so I think that's the itinerary. What are you
Hmm.
two most excited about?
Well, I have never been to England.
Mm.
So I'm pretty excited for all of it. I think especially the Sherlock Holmes house. I'm a Sherlock girly. My
There
mom
you
was
go.
like really into Poirot when I was growing up, but somehow Sherlock took my heart. But I'm just really excited to be able to immerse myself a little bit more in that world and get some writing done of my
Yeah.
own. I should
Yeah.
probably work on my stuff too.
Well, I'm over in England a couple times a year just for work, and so it's the perfect time of year. It's my favorite month to be in England. It's going to be
Hmm.
so beautiful. I'm looking forward to being outside, but the thing I'm mostly looking forward to is whenever I do, and it's weird, a Writer's Digest conference, whether it's the novel conference or if it's, but anything I do, whether it's classes I teach with you, I end up making new friends. I mean, the authors that we're going to be hanging out with for that 8 days, uh, I live, I live with my husband and my dogs in a small town in Mexico, and the idea of spending 8 days or so with writers who are not clients, who I can just hang with, I can get to know them. I need I need that kind of energy in my life,
Mm-hmm.
and so the idea of just hanging with like-minded people who are creative, yes, the National Gallery, all that I'm looking forward to. But
Mhm.
truthfully, I'm looking forward to meeting everyone and hanging out because the older I get and the more separated we all kind of get with work and everything, that's going to be water on stone for me. I'm going to love it.
Well, it sounds like you two are going to have a fantastic time. As Amy mentioned, we are aiming for 15 to 20, no more than 25
Mm-hmm.
participants, so that everyone can have um, that small group experience, the individualized time if you want it. We do have a requirement of 15 participants to move the trip forward, and the deadline to reach that number is June 16th, just 2025, in case this podcast lasts into the future. um, so there's still time. There is definitely still time to register, and you can visit writersdigestshop.com and scroll down just a little bit to find out more information about this retreat, including more details about the itinerary, links to all of the locations, links to the hotel and the manor house, pricing, and everything that includes. We just kind of scratched the surface of that, and information about how to reserve your spot. And of course, if you have any questions, you can email Writers Digest Retreats at aimmedia.com. There are two M's in there. Send us your questions, and the WD team will be happy to help answer them. All right, I think we've covered it all. Amy, Moriah, thanks for coming on and talking about this fantastic trip that you're going to have.
Thank
I hope you
you.
have a great time.
Thanks.
Thanks for listening to Writers Digest Presents. Visit us online at writersdigest.com, and make sure to follow us on social media at Writers Digest for daily updates on articles, online courses, live events, and more. See you next time.